All right, I show that it is 2 o'clock. It is time to get started. I appreciate all of you who jumped in a little early, did my sound check with me. Other quick housekeeping. You've already noticed that we have a chat option. There's a Q&A room. Any of those, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to throw them in there. I'm flying solo, like I mentioned earlier. So um, if I don't get to your question, please don't freak out. I will get to all of them as we leave the meeting today. I'll make sure that we get all the questions answered. Today's topic is going to be over the excavator responsibilities. This is kind of a moving topic, right? Because although the excavator responsibility is obviously to dig safely around underground facilities, the law has gone through some evolution and some changes in how things are done. So part of this is going to be kind of about A11 process overall, and then exclusively what excavators need to keep in mind when they're using the A11 process. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is A1 process is a lot bigger than just, locators and member companies. It's the excavator who knows to put in a locate request, right? There's more stakeholders than just putting in a locate request. So let's talk about those stakeholders real quick. It starts ideally with some design and engineering. This is before anything is constructed. It's before anything's put underground. It's an opportunity for things to be moved if necessary for that roadway or that building or whatever the case may be. So design and engineering has a huge role in damage prevention. Then of course it goes to excavators or non-professional excavators, DIYers, understanding the importance of 811, understanding that 811 is how underground facilities get marked and so they can dig safely around it. Also understanding that it's a law. It's not just a friendly reminder or best suggestion. It's the law. And so getting excavators and DIY to understand that is a big deal. Then there are the facility owners and their operators, right? So these are our utility companies, the oil and gas industry. It's the municipalities and what services they provide, right? So they have a job when it comes to public awareness, marketing, and all that stuff to help with the damage prevention message as well. Then, of course, we have the locators. Uh, just a reminder, OK1 is not the locating service. We're a notification center. So what we do is we take the information, we give it out to the member companies who then go out and have those lines marked by either their employees or they'll hire a third party company. Then there's one call, which is us, Okieba One. In Oklahoma, there's only one call. We were established in 1979 as part of the Oklahoma Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act. So we'll be around. Our role, of course, is to provide great damage prevention services, and then, of course, the education front as well. And then, of course, the general public. This is the reason you see commercials and public awareness messaging, whether it's during a Thunder game or a Sooners game or the Cowboys game, whatever the case may be, we're going to try to get that message out in front of everybody because you may not need 811 this weekend, right? But that 16-year-old high school student may be getting a house in 5 years or 6 years and needing to know about it when he has DIY projects. So we always want to get that message out there. So like I said, it is the law. It's not just a suggestion. The law states that you are to give at least 3 business days notice, not counting the week data notification, weekends, and holidays. And there it is. So the easy way to remember this is just 3 business days, right? If I say give at least 3 business days notice, you'll always be right. So if I call in on Monday, the earliest I could dig would be Thursday because Monday would be the data notification. Tuesday would be 24 hours. Wednesday would be the 48 hours. Thursday would be when I'm digging. So like I said, you're always right if you say 3 business days. If you put in a locate request on Wednesday, the earliest you could dig would be Saturday, right? Wednesday would be data notification, Thursday would be 24, Friday would be 48, and half of you just said out loud that you do not dig on Saturdays. Awesome. But you could because the 48 hours had passed. A couple of things to keep in mind with the law. Like I said, it's the legal framework. It was created in 1979. Then it went into effect in 1989, or excuse me, 1982. The organization was founded in 1979. Law went in place in 1982. Over the years, there's been updates that kind of evolve the law. There's some that recently happened just 5 days ago on November 1st. So we'll talk about a couple of those things. And if you ever need to see the law, just remember it's on our website, ok11.org, the law. Or if you don't want to remember the URL, just ok11.org. All the way at the very bottom of the page, you'll see a link for the law. So a lot of people ask, what does this look like? Well, Oklahoma has plenty of underground facilities. We're going to start with telecom, right? Everybody has to be able to use the internet or make a phone call. Then oil and gas pipelines, our electric systems, rural water, municipalities and services they provide, whether it's water or electric. Other would be like private campuses, some HOAs, some farms. And as you can tell, the state is pretty much saturated with underground lines. So it's very important to mitigate the risk of damage by always giving us a call so we can put in that locate request for you. So the way that works is it begins by contacting us at least 3 business days. We're going to confirm where you're going to be working, get some information from you, and we're going to create a locate request. That locate request is sent to our membership. Our membership is all companies that own or operate underground facilities that pay into the operating costs of OK1. Those member companies are going to send out their locators, and they have to respond to your request prior to the work to begin date and time. So again, if we put in that locate request on Monday and we said we're going to dig on Thursday at 10 a.m., everybody should have made it out there and marked their approximate location of their underground facilities by 10 a.m. on Thursday. They'll be using APWA uniform color code. They'll throw down paint, flags, or states to mark their underground facilities. They'll also need to communicate with the excavator by providing positive response, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. And then the excavator needs to take the time to make sure the work to begin date and time has come, that the ticket is valid by checking positive response, and then digging test holes to identify and properly protect those underground facilities. You can do that by potholing. You can do that hand digging, obviously, and you'll want to make sure you're visually inspecting and making sure that those underground facilities are where they are marked so you can dig safely around them. A couple of things to keep in mind. Private lines are not marked through 811. Private lines or customer-owned lines or not facility operator lines are all the same thing. Pretty much where the demarcation goes, like a municipality's water will go to the main, but then to the meter, and then after the meter is the property owner's line, right? So just keep in mind 811 private lines don't get marked. That would include things that are beyond the facility operator because they don't own or maintain it, or it's things that's never been owned by a facility operator, such as sprinkler systems, French drains, septic systems, stuff like that. And then OK1, like I mentioned earlier, we're the notification center. We're not going to be the ones locating the underground lines. So when a locate request gets put in, what you just saw fast forwarded was service area mapping, which will be the registered assets of a member company. So we start with that pipeline and we show it going north and south there with a 500-foot buffer either side of it. Then we see a center point data, which will represent a well. And then we put a 500-foot buffer around it. And then there's quarter sections, and quarter sections are half mile by half mile squares. So if you don't, we don't need to add any additional buffer to that. So those 3 registrations for service areas or mapping of their facilities, those are not visible to anybody putting in a ticket, whether it's one of our agents or whether it's the excavator putting it on the website. The service area layer is all invisible. And the reason being is because we don't seek out utilities. We're seeking out where you're digging, and all we care about is where you're digging. Just like you can use Google to find Walmart and McDonald's, but not know where AT&T's lines are. Same thing for us, right? We're going to find out where you're digging, wherever it is, relatively close to any mapping. Get that mapped, and that will overlap those layers. And if it does, then we alert that company that digging is going to take place. So in this case, that pipeline company and the section or the company registered by quarter sections would receive a ticket while that center point or that well would not receive a ticket. So that's why it's so important that we give accurate descriptions of where we're going to be working, proper measurements for driving directions and other things. Because again, we don't see the utilities. We're trying to make sure we're finding out where you're digging. Something to keep in mind, each excavator company or contractor doing excavation work must have their own dig ticket. So if I'm an electrician and there's a plumbing company on the same project or same property, I will want to make sure that that electrician also has a locate request. Because if I'm doing the locate, or excuse me, if I put in my locate request, I'm giving the scope of work pertaining to what I'm doing. That electrician may be working in a different part of the yard, maybe doing different types of work. Also, if that electrician damages anything and they didn't put in a locate request, then it may look like I did it. So we want to make sure that we're keeping everybody accountable to have their own ticket. I know how weird it is to talk to humans, right? So if you're on a work site and there is another crew out there and you don't feel comfortable asking them for a ticket, you know, hey, can I see your ticket real quick? You can go to our website and there's a public dashboard. And from that dashboard, you can see locate requests that are in your area. You can just punch in that address and you'll see all the active locate requests. So that could give you peace of mind. If you don't see activity where you're working other than your locate, then I always suggest taking pictures, just some information just to throw in the file. So if damages are discovered, you know, 6 months, a year from now, you can go, hey, yeah, we were there, but so was that electrician company, and here's their company information because we didn't damage anything, right? So make sure they have their own ticket, and if you aren't comfortable talking to them, take some public dashboard will show you live tickets, and if you don't see anything there, don't have that peace of mind, I would definitely keep records of that in your project file. So we're going to ask for required information every time you put in a locate request. Here's some of the information we're going to ask for. We're going to start by asking who is serving notice. In other words, who's putting in the locate request. The reason that this is so important is this is OKABLE 1's contact. If a locate request is put in and it's for 123 East Main Street, and then our quality assurance team lets out a ticket and there's like 123 East Main Street, then there would obviously something wrong. We want to be able to reach out to the person who served notice so we can talk to them and go, hey, where was the error? Is it supposed to be 123 East or 123 West Main Street? Make sure the ticket's correct, right? So the person serving notice is OKABLE 1's contact for quality assurance and making sure the ticket's correct. While we're talking to that person, we're going to get the location of the proposed excavation or demolition. We're going to get the company information. Just a big word of advice for all your excavating companies. As you put in locate requests and all your staff, all your crew, make sure they're all using one central phone number that pulls up your company information, and then they can give different individual contact information. But make sure your excavation company is using one central phone number for all your contacts to put in locate requests. Then we're going to get your excavator company information. Then we're going to find out who that field contact is. The first law change that I'm going to mention about November 1st is this. It says that the name and phone number of an excavator field contact with actual knowledge of excavation and a site and project. Everything that's highlighted is new. We've always asked for a field contact. What has happened in the industry or out in the field is oftentimes we aren't being told about access issues or other problems, and the locator is trying to reach somebody, but they're not getting a hold of anybody who knows anything. They may be calling the individual who served notice, and that person's an office admin who is just punching in locate requests and didn't even know about that, you know, angry chihuahua in the backyard, right? So they don't know anything about the access issues. The field contact isn't on the ticket or isn't answering questions, so it frustrates the locating, right? So now locating has the ability to say, hey, we've tried to reach that person, they wouldn't give me any information on the project, and we can cancel that ticket if the communication isn't there. So it's important to know that. Number 5, just remember this is a scope of work. It's supposed to go no more than 500 linear feet in municipalities, and then no more than a mile in an unincorporated area. And then we're going to ask about explosives and the date and time it's going to work. So the 4 questions we ask, along with the explosive, we ask about explosives, directional boring, white lining, and access issues. So we're going to ask those 4 questions every single time. And I'll go into why that's so important here in just a moment. So when you're putting in a locate request, there's a couple different things you can do. One, let's go back to what we said about the different stakeholders, right? First, we have the designer survey notice. This is only done online. It is a no excavation ticket. It is for getting maps or markings for the planning stage of a project. Then we have our normal or compliant tickets. These are everything that you're doing with proper amount of notice. An emergency ticket is when you are digging because there's an unavoidable situation that endangers life, health, or property, right? You are not getting permission to dig when there's an emergency. You already have permission. If there's an emergency, dig. What you don't have permission to do is wreck everything, right? You still have to show due diligence. You still have to show that you're trying to prevent damage. So dig because of an emergency. Notify us so that we can assist you with that due diligence. Try to get the member companies out to you as quickly as possible. This is where I remind people that we're going to ask for as much time as possible to give those member companies time to get out there and mark and try to help you stay safe. There is no minimum. If you're on site and you're digging, you can let us know that you're on site and you're digging right now. But if you can give 3-4 hours, that will give the locators even more time to get to you, hopefully provide more markings and be able to dig safely around it. I was going to pull off this non-compliant thing, but I didn't have time before our webinar today. But just a reminder, there are no more non-compliance. We eliminated those at the beginning of the month. So not much to tell you. Just you're not going to be able to put one in. It used to be a not valid locate request that we got rid of completely. Second or third notices, these is when you put in a locate request, but they did not make it out before your work to begin date and time. So you can put in a second or third notice. For you excavators, I want to remind you this is your CYA move. It's your best ticket for improved communication out there in the field. First of all, CYA, right? So it's Thursday at 10 a.m. I'm supposed to be able to start working. I look up positive response, and there's a company that hasn't responded. I do not have to roll out to that site because I know it's not fully marked. I can go ahead and put in my second notice. My second notice will go out to that member company that didn't put in that locate or didn't respond in time, and it will charge them. So behind the scenes, the CYA move does create an additional charge for that member company that received that second or third notice. But in addition to that, it also shows them or highlights when work or locators are running late in a certain area, right? So if a large telecom company uses a third-party locating company and they're a national company, they may not know that in Northwest Oklahoma City, they're having issues with that third-party locating company. So these second and third notices give credit to that or show that so that they can try to improve locating as well. So CYA and then hopefully improve communication. Demolition tickets, it's just a 2-step process. It's 7 business days notice after getting all your local approvals and permits. Then you're going to let us know that you're going to be doing a demolition in 7 days, and then 2 days before the structure comes down, not counting the dead notification, we'll put in a dig ticket for you. And then damage reporting, exactly what it sounds like. In Oklahoma, we have mandatory damage reporting. If you damage something, you do have to call and report it to us so that it can be handled by the facility operator. Earlier, I talked about positive response. This is where you look it up from our website, ok11.org. Across the top, you can click quick ticket lookup. If you already have your portal bookmarked, that will be on the bottom half here where it says find tickets. Either one works. The way the law reads, an excavator must check for positive response at the notification center prior to excavating or demolishing to ensure that all operators have responded and that all facilities have been affected by the proposed excavation and demolition have been marked. So what this means to you, it goes back to what I was saying about the second or third notices. You have the ability to know before you even roll out to the site if they've marked your area or not, if it's all clear, if it's all those things. So definitely use positive response, know ahead of time where the facility operators are, and if you need to put in any second notices. If your project or your job is going to take more than 14 calendar days, then you'll need to update that ticket. When you go to update the ticket, there's going to be two options. Well, let me back up. When you first go to update a ticket, there's going to be a pop-up that says, will you be digging within the next 14 calendar days? And if you say no, it'll say, thank you. Please come back when you are, because we don't want waste in the system. If you're not digging, there's no need for underground lines to be marked. However, if you are going to be digging in the next 14 days, then we will update your ticket and you have two options. One is going to be a remark. A remark is saying, hey, I'm out here. The work is going to take more than 14 calendar days and markings are gone and I need you to refresh them, right? So if you had 6 companies on your locate request and even one of them needs to have their markings refreshed, you'll be putting in a remark update, right? So they're coming out, refreshing everything. If you've been maintaining and preserving your markings and you do not have to have them come out and refresh the markings, you'll do an extend ticket. Exactly what it sounds like, right? Where it's extending the life of your ticket, but not requiring a remark. Member companies or facility operators will have the option of returning or not. High consequence areas, or if they're not trusting a excavation company or where the case may be, they will come out even on an extend. But it is an option for them. They can say, hey, excavator claims that all markings are good. I don't have to roll out there. So it's up to them on how they handle that. When the markings do take place, we want to talk about these real quick. The APW color code starts with white being proposed excavation, pink being survey markings. Don't know why that's not pink. Red with electric. Yellow is oil and gas. Orange is going to be telecom. Blue is water. Green is sewer. Purple is going to be irrigation. So those are the things that you'll be looking at after your locate request on the project site. Those locate marks should remain visible. You should always have a valid unexpired locate request on site. And if facilities are not found as marked, excavation must stop. In other words, you're trying to do the potholing, you're trying to find that underground facility. If you're unable to, then you need to stop and put in a second notice so that they can come out and help you with it. Locating and marking is not an exact science. It starts with digging test holes. You're going to be digging with caution throughout this whole process. The approximate horizontal location of an underground facility should be within 24 inches either side of those flags and paint. I put these 24 inches a little off center on purpose. It's to show that that pipe can still be found within that approximate tolerance zone. Hand digging is required within the tolerance zone, which is 2 feet either side of the outside wall or edge of an underground facility. So in this example, you can see this gas pipeline because of yellow, right? Oil and gas. Yellow is being used to mark it. Within 2 feet either side of the markings, you should be able to dig down and then discover the pipeline. Once you discover it, then you can expose, support, and protect it without using mechanical equipment within 2 feet of it. A couple things to keep in mind. One, there's a response code of watch and protect where our Oklahoma Natural Gas and One Oak uses it quite a bit. Either of those companies, if they put in a watch and protect, they have to be on site when you're digging within 10 feet of their underground facility. So be on the lookout for that pause response. But in general, pipelines or anybody else can request, or excuse me, pipelines can request more distance around their underground facilities if they request it. So just keep an eye out on that as well. There's a lot of consequences when it comes to damage prevention. The reason that we do this is to keep you safe. Ultimately, we can talk about how the communities need the utilities that are coming through. We're all working from home now. We all need internet and television and water and all those things, right? We can understand that aspect of it. And we can also understand that there's vulnerable in our communities that need to be able to get through our rough winters and our hot summers and be able to call 911 also. So we know that those exist as well. And then, of course, as a damage prevention company organization, we know that the bottom line of one of these utility company means a lot as well. So we want to protect those things that are underground. But ultimately, no matter what happens, if something gets hit or interrupted or service gets done, that's all repairable. I mean, it will come back. Ultimately, the safety and health and well-being of the excavators doing work is the reason that we do this. We want you to be able to return back to work tomorrow and provide for your family and community. So let me see if anybody asked me any questions. Doesn't look like it. Awesome. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them out at me. I'm going to do some little bit of house keeping here. If you do think of any questions or have any suggestions for future presentations, you can always email me. Email address is easy, education@okie811.org. If you haven't already, check out our podcast sometime. It's called Digging Deep. You can find that anywhere you can listen to podcasts. There's our YouTube channel as well that has copies of our podcasts as well as these webinars. Plenty of information, including our website as well. So if you're still with me, and I hope you are, there is a QR code that just popped up on your on your computer. You can scan that to give me some feedback, let my boss know that we did this. And if 50%, so 4 of us puts in a survey request, one of you will win a $25 Amazon gift card for providing that feedback. So I appreciate that a lot. If you do think of anything, do not hesitate to email me. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Doesn't look like any questions have come in, so I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for attending today and doing all that you do to keep Oklahoma safe. Thank you. Bye.